Okay, well, hi everyone, and welcome to our information session for our brand new certificate in IT Audit Execution. And I wanted to thank you for taking the time today to join us to hear about our exciting new program. I'm just going to go on to the next slide. And this is the agenda that we have today. On the line, I also have one of the instructors who teaches course number 2, Zane Hack, and you just heard from him. He will be co-facilitating this presentation today. So he'll talk to you more about the details of the program and the actual IT audit profession. And then what we will do is we'll have a question and answer period. Both Zane and I will be available to answer any questions that you have, but we'll do that at the end. Okay. So let's get started. So for today, in terms of an agenda, I will be giving you an introduction to York University and our School of Continuing Studies. We'll go through an IT audit execution overview, the professional association, ISACA, and the CISA designation. Why study here at York University through our School of Continuing Studies? We'll talk about the program and give you some details on who should take the program, and then ultimately how to register for this exciting new program that we are launching in September of 2019. Okay. All right, so let me just take one step back. And I want to just take an opportunity to tell you a little bit about York University. And its rich history. We are the second largest university in Ontario, and the third largest in Canada. We're known for academic excellence. 98% of our professors have the highest educational qualification in their field, and our accomplished alumni span the globe, are making an impact in their fields. We also have a very rich research history, and we have an expertise in pedagogy, online learning, and instructional design. York is known for championing new ways of thinking that drive teaching and research excellence. We have over 52,000 students here on campus, and meaningful and sometimes unexpected careers result from how our cross-discipline programming, our innovative course design, and diverse experiential learning opportunities. We have over 11 faculties here on campus and 24 research centers, and we have partnerships with over 200 universities worldwide. In terms of the continuing studies the School of Continuing Studies, we are within York University, and we provide continuing ed opportunities which combine guided instruction with practical applications. Our programs are designed to develop the well-rounded professional that employers value, both with that deep discipline-based knowledge and the broad skills required to communicate within and be effective actually within a multidisciplinary team. So with a variety of options to suit your learning style and schedule, adding a recognized respected credential such as a School of Continuing Studies certificate has never really been more convenient. And we have continuing studies advisors that are available to talk to you about your career goals. And of course, we are here to help. And I will provide all of that contact information at the end of the presentation. So the School of Continuing Studies, we serve nearly 2,000 students through our continuing professional education certificates. We also have pathways to degree programs. We have an English language program that is a huge English language program, and which draws students from at least 50 countries around the world. The school has earned international attention for its innovative approach to continuing education and also English academic preparation program design. And some of the other programs that we offer through the School of Continuing Studies are on the screen. We also offer our cybersecurity fundamentals and advanced program in cybersecurity. We have a program in big data analytics and risk management, dispute resolution. You see the IT Audit Execution program that's being launched in September. We have a new program, user experience design as well, and accounting, advanced accounting, business, public relations, and digital and content marketing. Now, what makes our program here at York University School of Continuing Studies unique? The first point is that it is cohort based. So what that means that you will progress through the program with the same group of students, and this will help you forge closer relationships with the peers in your class. We will teach you the entire life cycle of the IT audit, from the planning phase to the execution phase, and lastly to the reporting. Our program will also prepare you for the CISA designation exam. We have experienced instructors that work in industry and can share their experience in the field by leveraging real life situations that they have encountered at work. Our program is flexible. It's offered in a fully online format. It'll take you 6 months to complete it in this accelerated format. We will also provide you with networking opportunities. You'll be engaged not only with your instructors, but also your peers. And lastly, we have a very strong program advisory committee that oversees the content to ensure that we keep things current. Now, our goal in all our programs is to produce graduates who can write, speak, negotiate, problem solve, make ethical decisions, and think critically. So through extensive research that we conducted, employers report that the following list of cross-functional competencies or soft skills are lacking in the current IT audit talent pool. These competencies are becoming increasingly important and are essential for organizational and personal success. The top skills that were identified are effective written and verbal communication skills, collaboration, negotiation and persuasion, data analysis, critical thinking and problem solving, and ethics. Now, all of these cross-functional competencies that I just noted will be interwoven throughout the program through various mechanisms such as your assignments, etc. Okay, so I will turn it over to Zane, who will talk to you about IT audit.
I think, I think it's, well, there could be like several definitions of like what an IT audit engagement is or what this profession is all about, right? Let's go through the overview, and then I'll actually explain like some of the context behind why this is actually such an important function in today's times, right? So really, I think what the IT audit profession by itself, right? I think it aims to improve internal processes and performances, right? Through a very critical analysis of data, reporting problems and improving internal control environment within an organization, right? So the audit, like if you take the IT out, the audit profession has ever been there, right? I mean, there's internal audit, there's external, financial statement, compliance audit, right? Why IT audit has become such a buzzword, and why has it actually become, an important function? So if you think about most modern companies, regardless of whatever the size or their scale of operation is, right? They are increasingly employing the use of some sort of technology in their organization, right? Like from your local convenience store to something like Amazon.ca, right? They actually employ some sort of technology, right? And obviously, if these companies don't adapt to the use of such technological revolution, right, they will be lagging behind in the business. So while these technologies, they do bring benefits, they also bring several risks, right? So as an example, let's think about Amazon. Like how many of you don't actually use Amazon? I mean, I would be surprised if if like 5 out of 10 people are not using Amazon, right, for some sort of shopping. Amazon does their entire business through the websites. It's all online, right? So, if a hacker would, try to, bring down the website, right, what's going to happen? Well, Amazon will lose business, right? Its business strategy will fail, and eventually it might be driven out of business. Who knows, right? Similarly, if you think about one of the other examples of the Marriott, right? The Marriott hotel chain was actually in the news in the last year for a very significant, confidential data breach, right? So I think like 5 million customers were impacted, right? So, keeping these risks and like these real life scenarios in mind, obviously the first responsibility is with the management of the company. They need to think about the processes and controls, so that, they put those processes and controls in place so that these things don't happen in the future, or these things don't happen ever, right? In an ideal world. The question is, what's IT audit's role here, right? So IT audit, right? I mean, if you think about an organization, let's say IT audit is like a department internally, right? the IT audit profession actually, in this case, will provide an objective and an independent and an unbiased assessment of how the company, like how well the company is doing in keeping up with these technology processes. And, if the controls they have are actually designed in a way that will actually, cater to those risks, right? So as an example, if you take the Amazon example, the IT auditor who's actually assessed independently if if Amazon actually has the right sort of controls, like, like with firewall, passwords, virus protection, etc. So that if someone was even with a bad intention would try to bring down the Amazon server, they won't be successful in doing it, right? I think a good question here might be coming to the mind that if the management is already doing their part, why is IT audit really needed here? I think it's twofold. One, so IT auditors bring with them some unique set of skills of being good auditors, which is when I say auditing, it's all about the questioning mindset, right? So saying, so what? How do you actually protect this, right? And second, they also bring them with themselves some sort of technical IT skills, right? So that they're able to very competently assess whether the control environment is actually good enough to protect against these risks, right? And I think I think almost I'm on LinkedIn almost daily, and I think almost like every week I hear about some one or other data breach, a ransomware attack, some sort of cyber incident going on. And I think IT audit has actually got a big role to play here in companies. That companies are now starting to take IT audit very seriously. There's a lot of companies who never had a concept of IT audit. Now they are actually building an IT audit department from scratch, both public sector as well as the private industry, and that they are actually looking for some sort of IT auditing skills that can actually help to provide an independent assessment of how strong their environment is to detect and prevent such things from happening in the future. Moving on to the next slide here, which is basically how the job market for IT auditors. So in a recent assessment that we did, we found out that the IT audit jobs have actually grown by a good 65 to 75%, and the senior IT executives are really having it as a challenge to find skilled IT auditors, right, who can actually execute the IT audit, and I think and understand the risk posture of the company, right? I think it's getting to a point where there's a big need for IT auditors in the market, but is the skill actually there? It's kind of where the senior leaders are trying to actually close the gap, right? So the job market is definitely very thriving. I mean, I think I was hiring. Recently, I was actually interviewing for an IT auditor position, right? I could also see that there's a lot of interest now. Like as soon as I posted that position onto LinkedIn, there was a lot of people, right, who were not part of their IT audit profession, but they were really interested in joining, right? So I think there's also some interest there for IT audits, given how this buzzword is actually going down these days. So just I think from a job market perspective, it's a great profession to be in, and I think it's definitely one profession. I mean, I've been with IT audit for it's my 8th year now, and I can see how I, as an IT audit professional, I'm not just doing my job. I think I'm actually adding value to the company, right? Because I think if my department is not providing this sort of service, right, that company could in one way or the other could actually be very vulnerable to some of the technological risks that pose to the company. So yeah, that's really about the job market. And I think if we move to the next slide, it's about who should take this program, right? So I think there is a variety of careers that could actually dovetail into this IT auditing program here at York University, right? So let's say if you're working in IT operations, right, or you're working as just any other external or internal auditor, right, with any other, like for example compliance or financial statement or some sort of a business process audit, right? You could actually bring some of that knowledge as a good prerequisite, right? Come into this program, get some of hands-on IT auditing skill and expertise, and when you go out of the job market, right, I think you can actually use these in combination and get yourself a good a good relevant job in IT audit, right? I think the second box here from left, cybersecurity, that's another big one. We've seen, we've recently seen like cybersecurity obviously being so much in the news. So cybersecurity professionals, I mean, if you guys have that, that background of, the different type of technologies, different type of risk that's exposed to technology. I think when you come into this program, right, and you do like hands-on, like IT auditing, planning, execution, reporting. Again, once you go out of this program, right, you can actually, use your own cybersecurity background and, the skills and some expertise that you've gained in this program, and then, you could be job ready in the future, right? So there is a variety of fields who can actually, take advantage of this program and, zoom past into the IT auditing world. I think if we move to the next slide there, right? So ISACA, right, which actually administers the CISA, the Certified Information Systems Auditor exam. So if you are part of this course, you do get a that exclusive free membership to the Toronto chapter of ISACA. But I think more than I think the intent. Let me maybe just detail on some of the intent of this program, right? I think more than preparing you for like CISA designation, that's one of the objectives of our program. But I think more than that, we really want to, make sure that, in addition to that book knowledge you get from from the ISACA exam, I think it's also very, very important that people actually get some hands-on skills with IT auditing, right? Like, I mean, if you go into a job scenario, just book knowledge would not be, sufficient. So, we have actually designed our courses in a way where we actually give you some simulated real life scenarios, right? So, as an example, we'll give you some fake evidence from like a client, right? Like it's just made up evidence, and then we ask you, so please test this evidence, right? Please review these documentation and tell us what you think would be the result of your audit, right? I mean, the ISACA exam can definitely not give you, that kind of an exposure, right? I think also one of the other things about this course, so and I think that probably comes into a slide ahead. Maybe I can mention this here too. I think the instructors have really, collaborated in a way that we go like from end to end of an IT audit project, right? So you start with the planning, you go, you plan the audit out, scope what are some of the key areas, some of the key processes in the audit, then you actually do the actual execution, right? So the actual testing, and then you go into the reporting and, where you note the issues, talk to the management and issue the final audit report. Right. And I think this is actually a very fantastic approach to teach someone in school. Like I recall when I took my IT audit course many years ago, in the university, I mean, this sort of skill was never actually taught. So this is one of the very unique things that we're doing in this program here. And I think if we move to the next slide here, right? So like I said, I think, once you do this course, you will be, ready to write your CISA exam, right? I think it's an online, or I think it's paper-based exam. And that's really one of the starting points, I would say, to, you want to jump into the IT auditing profession, right? And, like I said, I mean, we prepare you for the CISA exam, and I think concurrently, we also give you some good real life exposure to what you will find once you are into an IT auditor position. Okay, to move to the next slide here, right? I think, why study IT execution at York, right? So I think, so I think the IT audit profession, right? The Bible there is really the ISACA's organization CISA exam, right? I mean, that CISA exam is really based upon, like 5, what we call the knowledge domains, right? For information systems audit. And having this knowledge is very, very, very critical, if you were to really think about the IT audit professions, right? So our coursework, our entire curriculum is actually the foundation, is actually those 5 domains of the CISA exam, right? One of the other things, like I was mentioning before, because of our the program is designed in a way that we actually give you some real, some real real life, how the evidence would look like, how you would, if you had a client who's not cooperating with you, who is giving you some hard time and not coming to the point, you'll be put into a situation like, some sort of a simulation where you have a client in front of you, right? And then you are the auditor and you are trying to, try to come down to the same path with them in getting the evidence or convincing them that why an issue is an issue, right? So those are some really good hands-on exercises that we have in this course. And I think this will be very helpful, once you really go into, a real life IT audit engagement. I think the other thing that's good about this course is I think some of the flexibility in how this is delivered. So so each course runs about 8 weeks, right? And I think 7 out of the 8 weeks in each of the 3 courses is actually online, right? And then there's 1 week where all the students, will be on campus. I think it's like Saturday and a Sunday. Yeah, I think it's Saturday and Sunday for a good 8 hours each day. You'll be on campus. You get to meet all the students in that program, the instructor, right? We will have some guest lectures coming from the industry to give you some taste of what IT audit is like in the real world. And again, we'll be doing some good in-person exercises that will help to give you more context and purpose of this of the course that you're doing. And I think one of the other things that I was thinking about, what helps you, because the instructors obviously are in the industry, they've come from different backgrounds, right? You can definitely develop a very good professional networking relationships, right? I think the value of networking in any profession today cannot be undermined, right? I think it's coming to a point where strong network of connections help you in your professional network. So the instructors are very, very open about it, very transparent, and they're looking forward to engaging with the students and helping them out in their professional careers in whatsoever way. So I think that's really something unique about this program. And I think one other thing, as I think, because I'm one of the instructors, I think when I'm actually teaching this, right, I have this thing in my mind that that I've actually been like in an entry level IT auditor position, and I know what are some of the concerns that a rookie IT auditor might have, right? What are some of the basic prerequisites, some of the basic knowledge requirements of this rookie IT auditor is. So when we walk through when we walk through each of our sessions and when I'm teaching, right, I keep that approach in mind so that, it's not like we're just going over the top and just running through the course. We're going really into the deep waters and trying to make sure that every person is actually comfortable and, walking up the steps as we progress through the course, right? So we will we'll definitely, in planning our sessions, we're definitely keeping that in mind so that it's beneficial to students who are attending the course. So I think we can move to the next slide, dear Marina.
Okay, terrific. Okay, so on to the structure of the program, and Zane will come back to talk a little bit more about the content in his course and to provide you with more information on the instructor's expertise. But as Zane mentioned, the structure of the program is this. It is a part-time blended program, mostly online with 1 weekend per course that will require a face-to-face class here on campus. And when I say here on campus, I mean the Kiel campus, at Steeles and Kiel. So students will work online to help balance. This helps balance professional and personal commitments. You'll complete the program in a total of 6 months, and the face-to-face sessions will be held on the weekend. They are Saturdays and Sundays. So in total, there's a Saturday and Sunday for each course. So in total, you are here on campus 6 full days. Okay. That's 3 weekends in total. And of course, they are like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, this is just a visual on the sequence that Zane mentioned earlier. So course number 1 is planning the IT audit. You move on to course number 2, which is executing. And then the third and final course is reporting on the IT audits. And then I'll turn it over to Zane, who will talk to you about the instructor's expertise.
Yes, thanks, Marina. So yeah, so we do have 3 courses and we do have 3 instructors. The instructors, for your background, they've also been, very significantly are involved with like developing the course content and, the materials, that, will be used during the course and they'll be teaching it. So we do have an instructor's full exposure of, what's being developed and what's being taught, and they're all aligned to each other. Okay. In terms of the instructor expertise, so we are all, experienced IT audit professionals, right? We've been over the course of our careers, we've been involved with a variety of, high profile and complex type of IT audit, and, to some extent consulting projects as well. We've been as part of this, as part of these audits, we've been exposed to technology and the actual IT environment in a variety of industries. So you can talk about financial services, the big 5 banks, the big 4 accounting firms, public sector ministries, government organizations, and the big 3 telecom. So like Rogers, Bell, Telus, we've been exposed to a variety of these environments, and I think how that helps is because that, when we're actually designing this course, again, we have all these prerequisite knowledge into our mind, right? Like we actually know, for example, based on my experience, what was one of the more complex environments that I audited, right? What was one of those that was very interesting that we should be actually coding to the students and including it in the case study, right? Anonymously. So I think that definitely helps. We are, we have a lot of a taste for technology and, some trending technologies. There's a lot of professional readings, for example, I do on my own for things like, like cybersecurity, when I say cybersecurity, the different types of, the different types of tools we use to manage the cybersecurity process, cloud computing, another buzzword in technology, and artificial intelligence. On the academic front, instructors, they actually come from, they actually possess some very well-respected professional designations. For example, myself, I have a CPA, CA, I have a CISA. There's other instructor who has a CIA, which is Certified Internal Audit, right? I think almost all of us have CISAs, and then CRMA, which is Certified Risk Management Audit. So, at a glance, you guys can actually see that what the instructors that have been chosen here have been chosen very, very carefully, keeping in mind what are some of the needs of of the students from this program, right? And all this background, academic and professional and experience that we actually bring will actually help you, be a good and a very successful IT auditor in the future. Okay, Marina, over to you.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. So the next slide, we're going to just go dive a little bit deeper into the instructor expertise. So this is the first instructor. He teaches the Planning the IT Audit course, and Fareed he's a CPA, CA. He has a CISA designation. He's currently a senior auditor and risk professional, has over 15 years experience with major financial institutions, and he is also, so he has a lot of experience. His bio is there on the screen. Now, in terms of the content for his course, the topics that we will be including in the first course are topics such as types of audit and assurance engagement. He'll introduce you to the IT domains through CISA. He will review frameworks and regulatory bodies. He will review audit rationale, scope, and objectives, identifying and assessing risk, relationship building and communication, compliance, governance, audit procedures and audit programs, and then what are some of the challenges, very important, what are some of the challenges that an IT auditor faces during the planning stage. And I'll turn it over to Zane so that he can talk to you about his background as well as content in his course.
Yes, thanks, Marina. So yeah, I think I did provide some of the background there, but yeah, so I am a CPA, CA. I do have my CISA, and so currently I work with Manulife Financial in their Toronto, which is their global headquarters. I work with their cybersecurity audit practice, right? I've been in IT audits my 8th year running now, and I've been part of some very complex and some very diverse kind of IT audit projects. prior to Money Life, I was working with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, again in the, out of the Toronto headquarters. And there, I actually led and delivered a number of third-party assurance engagements, which we also call, for people who are familiar with audit engagements, also called a SOC audit, Service Organization Controls audit. And I've had exposure as part of my experience with PwC. I've had exposure to telecom technology service providers like IBM, TELUS, Bell, and financial services and asset management companies. One of the other things that I do on the side is obviously teaching. That's why I'm part of this program. And so I've been involved with teaching with York University prior to joining this School of Continuing Studies at York. I was also teaching with the Liberal Arts and Professional Studies department. There I was teaching management information systems. So I do have a lot of passion for audit, and I do have double that passion for teaching and mentoring. And that's one of the reasons I'm really excited to actually, lead this course development and instructions here. As part of this course, so I think as it sounds, this is about the real execution, right? So when I say this is about execution, right? So if we were to think about the audit, right? So once you have planned, once you have actually scoped in, your audit, this is where we will actually teach you how to execute the audit, right? So basic things like communicating with the client. Hey, client, so these are our controls that we'll be testing. These are our list of requirements, right? We need this population, these samples, right? Then we give you some fake evidence, like I said, and then based on that evidence, you have to test, make a conclusion, and say if it's an issue, right? And then I think one of the other interesting things that I've actually, made a part of this course is also, we will have some simulations where I act as a client, and the students in the course will be the auditors, right? And the students want to discuss certain issue with me. And, I, as a client, will try to kind of fend you off and say, no, it's not an issue. And that will actually, help you build a skill whereby you are able to respectfully and very firmly talk to a client and communicate your point across. I think that's a very significant challenge to IT auditors, right? And when I say challenge, it's actually a fun challenge, because if, like no one likes issues in real world, right? No client would like issues. No department likes to see, oh, we're not doing great in this control process, right? So I think one of the important aspects of an auditor's profession is to actually do their testing very, very nicely and in detail. And I know on top of that, being able to communicate that and convince the client why they think the issue is an issue, what's the risk underneath it, right? So we'll be doing certain simulations on that, and that's one of the most exciting parts of the course here. So that's pretty much about the course number 2.
The instructor for this course is Eric, and he also has a CISA and designation. He is also a certified internal auditor. He's got a CRMA designation. He's also been working in the IT audit field for over 20 years. He comes from a technology background, and he also has a very unique credential. He also has a master's in education and has experience delivering IT audit courses with an emphasis on emerging technologies, like Zane mentioned, like cybersecurity and cloud computing. And in course number 3, in the reporting, the topics that he will be including are things like prioritizing the findings, validating the findings, drafting the report, determining conclusion, recommendations and remediation strategies, follow up to the audit report, reporting to management, debriefing with the client and the internal team, and lastly, the challenges that an IT auditor would face during the reporting phase. So moving on to registration and next offerings, our program is, as I mentioned, is being offered in the fall of 2019. Registration and also winter of 2020, you can enroll online. Enrollment is actually is open, and so the tuition for the entire program is $32.97. And if you are a York University alumni, you do receive a 10% alumni discount. So if you're interested in registering and you have graduated from York University, please give us a call and we'll provide you with the discount code. So as I mentioned, fall fall 2019 and 2020 are the next offerings, and we have full schedules available on our website. Now, in terms of contact information, this is our contact information. The woman on the screen, Elspeth Staniland, she's our continuing studies advisor, and IT Audit Execution is in her portfolio. So if you have any questions after this webinar, we would be happy to connect you with Elspeth. You can reach her at continue@yorku.ca. Or you can give us a call at 416-736-5616. And that brings us to the end of the webinar. We want to thank you for participating, and Zane and I are now available for a few minutes to answer any questions. So if you'd like to type your question into the question box, I can read the question, and then either Zane or I will answer the question. Okay, Zane, we have a question. Maybe can people with no experience in IT audit take this program?
Yes, absolutely. I think, and I think, like I was saying, as part of this course, right? So we do start at the very basic level, right, of what IT auditing is about, right? So it's not like we expect you to come into this program and you have some background knowledge about IT audits, right? For example, the course that I'm doing, we call it fieldwork in industry, but it's called execution as part of this course. As part of the execution, we're actually literally, walking you through what are the different steps in executing the audit, right? So, for example, things like preparing a list of requirements and communicating with a client. I mean, it's just a list you fill in Excel, but I think it's important to actually teach you, how to actually write concise lists, right? So that your client is actually able to understand, what is the exact requirement in the audit. Right. I think one of the other things that, if you don't have experience, right, like talking to a client, we actually give you direct exposure here with some client simulations whereby, we give you some topic to prepare. You say, okay, you know what, you've tested, you've noted an issue, you're meeting with a client. This client is not very easygoing. So that will help you prepare, for real life meetings, right? So I think for that, these are some of the basic things an IT auditor requires. And again, we are teaching this in our courses, so that, you, as part of your, so that any person who does not have that information is not at a disadvantage compared to someone who might have the background. I hope that answered the question.
Oh, that's terrific. Thanks a lot, Zane. We had a question about how many hours do we need to spend for study per week? Well, the thing I think what we're going to do is we took a look at, because this is a brand new program and it's launching in September, we don't have any students right now that we could ask, right, that we've been able to survey. So if we take a comparable program like risk management or cybersecurity, students typically typically spend 5 to 9 hours a week on reading and participating in online discussions and so forth. And of course, that does not include the 2 intensive days. So I would probably think about 5 hours a week in reading and participation, and then of course you would come in for the 2 in-class days. And again, I wanted to say that this is just an approximate number of hours, and it's only an estimate. We will have more concrete info once we have the first cohort has graduated from the program. I have a question. I recently completed cybersecurity courses at York, which is great. Thank you. We did not have enough practical field knowledge, so not able to get job till now. Will this course be theoretical like my previous one, or will it be practical in field to get real life experience?
You want me to take that, Marina?
Yes, please, Zane.
Sure. Okay. So, that cybersecurity course, sorry, I haven't been part of it, so I can't really comment on the content there or, how it was designed. I'm sure they had some really good things there too. So again, I think the way that we have actually designed this, right? I mean, in all honesty, if we wanted, we would have just the instructors are they're well versed with the ISACA, the CISA book. We could have just copy pasted stuff into our slides and teach you guys, right? What would have that given to the students? Just a CISA exam, and that's it, right? Is that something enough for you to get a job in IT audit? The answer is no. And that's the reason we're actually trying to build in some real life IT auditing testing situations, right? You will actually get to test certain evidence, right? So that, for example, you go into an interview, and an interview, so maybe I'll give you some context here, right? So, for example, when I interview some staff auditor at my organization, right? In addition to the interview questions, I also give them some sort of, fake arbitrary evidence, and I tell them, please, based on the controls, test this and let me know what's the issue, and let's discuss, right? And then I, as the interviewer, I act as a client, right? And I actually question the auditor, and then I see how good the auditor is. In this course, we actually simulated the whole interview process as well, if you think about it. So as an example, we actually give you the fake evidence in this course, right, as part of your assignments. You actually review it, and then you come to a conclusion. And then as part of the client simulation, you walk up to the client and talk to them about it. So that, in the future, when you go to an interview, and most likely, I know where, like, the folks in IT auditing, they usually interview this way. Most likely, they'll give you a case study. You will actually have all this background knowledge and experience in the course, so that you can reflect it there, and that will definitely make you more hands-on versus someone who's just read a CISA book and passed the exam. So I hope that actually answers your question. I can answer a little more if you would like.
That's great, Zane. I think that I think that was a very good answer to the question for sure. The last question I have here is thanking us for an amazing, informative session. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. They had a question about the exam fee, which is it included in the fee for the program? No, it's not included. You would have to pay for that separately. And we had a question about, does this require a financial background such as CPA or CA?
I can take that. The answer is no. Does this require it? No. The answer is absolutely no. If you have it, yes, it could be beneficial. But if it's something that you think is like a prerequisite requirement, the answer is absolutely not. Because I think the CPA, because I'm a CPA, I know the exams. I think the CPA curriculum covers IT audit maybe just like 5%, less than 5% when I wrote my exams. So having a CPA will definitely could be helpful, because you come from an auditing background, exactly what it takes to be a good auditor. But I think this course will, like, let's say you come in, like as a financial analyst, right? You don't have a CPA or something. This course will actually take you to the very basics of IT audit, and we'll go step by step, and it will help you, turn yourself into a very successful IT auditor.
Okay, terrific. Well,
Marina, there's
yes.
one thing if I can expand upon. I think one of the students asked about this, whether the CISA exam fee is included, and you answered it no.
Yep.
I would just like maybe just one thing, and maybe I can add to it, right? Again, because we are like having been in the industry, having done rounds of interviews. One of the things that you probably shouldn't be so bothering to you, whether, like, for example, if you have to pay it from your own, like, exam fee on your own pocket. So a lot of the times when we are hiring for, like, it's like staff level auditors, right? Like a first year auditor, if they don't have their CISA, I think, that doesn't play a lot on our minds, versus what plays on our mind is if that person has some sort of, relevant background in IT audit, right? So if you can actually put on your resume that, I've taken this course, I've been through, these exercises, and I plan to write an exam in the future, right? And let's say you get hired by the companies. A lot of these companies actually pay for your exams once you get hired. So I think once you take the course, there's a certificate program with us, and you're able to, get a good job based on this. If you write your exam, your CISA exam after that, you will actually get, the company usually pay for the exam, right? So that, just to kind of ease your financial concerns there, that's one of the things you can also think about. Over to you, Marina.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Zane, for being with us today. I think we're going to wrap it up. We're almost at the 1 o'clock mark, and I really wanted to thank you for being here and helping me facilitate this presentation. I think it was exceptionally done, and I wanted to thank everyone out there for participating. I put the contact information back on the screen. Please give us a call if you have other questions for us. Elspeth can give you a call, and you can discuss your career goals with her directly. Okay, so thank you everyone again, and have a great rest of the day.